Good evening, President Villescaz, confirming you are there and can hear me.
I'm here. Thank you, Mr. Allen. I don't think it's relevant that I can't start my video, but I just want to let you know that I can't start my video.
We will make sure that is changed for the general meeting. We
Okay.
are recording, so the floor is yours if you would like to call us to order.
Thank you. I call the meeting of the San Juan Unified School District Board of Education to order. There is one closed session item on tonight's agenda. Discussion with negotiator Jim Shoemake, Assistant Superintendent, Schools and Labor Relations regarding CSEA Chapter 127, General Operations Support, Chauffeurs, Teamsters, Local Number 150 Transportation, Supervisors, Teachers, and Certificated Supervisory Units, and regarding non-represented groups, management and confidential units pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. Mr. Allen, will you please give instruction to those in attendance via Zoom on how they can raise their hand if they have a comment on the closed session agenda items?
I would be happy to, President Villescaz. If you are here with us on the Zoom tonight and would like to offer a public comment on a closed session agenda item, now would be your opportunity to do so. You can do that by clicking the raise hand button found at the bottom of your screen if you're on a mobile device, at the bottom of the participant list if you are on a desktop client, or by pressing *9 if you have called into the call tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Seeing no visitor comments for closed session items, we will now move into closed session and we'll return to open session at 6:30.
Thank you, President Villescaz. The board is now in closed session and will return at 6:30. We invite you to return at that time, or you are welcome to wait here until the board does return. Thank you. And we are again recording, and the floor is yours, President Villescaz.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. I call the meeting of the San Juan Unified School District Board of Education back to order. The meeting is being audio and video recorded, and the recording may capture sounds and images of those attending this meeting. The recording will be posted on the district website. Presenters will via the Zoom platform, and public attendance is provided via the Zoom platform, as well as via live stream on the district's YouTube channel. We thank you for joining us and ask for your patience as we use this format in an effort to maximize access and participation during this time of physical distancing and other restrictions. At this time, please stand for the virtual presentation of the colors by the Casa Roble Fundamental High School Air Force Junior ROTC.
Color guard, attention, hut, port, arms, forward, march. Color guard, halt, ready, haste. Ready, haste, present, arms. Ladies and gentlemen, may you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Order, arms. Ready, haste, forward, march.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Paula Viescas, Board President, and joining me tonight is Dr. Michael McKibben, Board Vice President, Creason, Board Clerk, Ms. Pam Costa, and Mr. Saul Hernandez, Board Members. Superintendent Kern and other staff members are also in attendance. Before we begin, I'd like to review the two methods that are available to submit public comment for tonight's meeting. The first option is to submit a public comment online using the comment form located on the district website at www.sanjuan.edu/board-meeting. If you wish to submit a public comment on more than one agenda item, please submit a separate form for each item on which you are commenting. Comments received by 6 p.m. today have already been shared with all board members. Comments received after 6 p.m. tonight, including those submitted during the meeting, may be read during the meeting depending on time restrictions. Comments may only be submitted on an agenda item up until the time that the agenda item has been discussed. The second option is Zoom platform, where you may use the raise your hand function. When you're called on, you may share a comment via audio during the meeting. Please note that all public comments are subject to a 2-minute limit or approximately 1,500 characters. We are now at item D, approval of the minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes for December 15th?
So moved.
It's been moved by Ms. Creason. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That was unanimous. We are now at item E1, High School Student Council reports. Tonight, we will hear from student representatives from San Juan High School and Rio Americano High School. Welcome, and let's begin with Carmen Saguillant from San Juan. And Carmen, please correct me if I've mispronounced your name, and begin when you are ready, Carmen.
Okay, so my name is Carmen Saguillant, and I'm graduating class of 2021 for representing San Juan High School. And before I start, I have my script written on another device. Is it okay if I read it off of that? Like
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever works for you.
I just didn't want to be disrespectful. Okay, so sorry, it's kind of intimidating with a lot of the people here, but
so one, you're all good, and I'm a little nervous too, but whatever works for you. You're not being disrespectful, and thank you for asking. So get whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I put change can be difficult for anyone, and I'm sure we can all agree adapting recently has been quite difficult for both staff and students. I personally love school, and I'm graduating the top of my class, and I'm an honor roll student. And recently, distance learning has brought me to self-doubt and question myself whether education was the right path for me in the long term. I don't mean to stutter, but I can't imagine what students who struggled in school began to feel when we started distance learning, as well as students who don't get help from home. However, with time and good leadership, San Juan has made it easier, and I have seen a positive change. The San Juan staff has tried their best to stay connected to their students and encourage school spirit. I'm honored to recognize my school and their outstanding efforts during this time, especially to the teachers who personally reached out and dedicated time in class to help out students who are struggling. They helped out not only myself, but other students feel less alone during this time. Over time, I started to see a change and more students began to be more engaged. COVID hasn't taken everything away from our school. Recently, students have been practicing safe sports and attend weekly club Zooms. I'm in a few club Zooms myself, and our school counselors run a program for mental awareness for students in our school. And student government has encouraged school spirit with once a month weekly spirit weeks, as well as fitness activities and many more. We have turned into a positive direction as a community. I'm excited to see more growth, and hopefully within time we can take action into a hybrid plan when it's safe for everyone involved. Again, thank you for your time, and I'm glad to explain my point of view throughout this experience. Sorry for stuttering.
Carmen, you did great. And oftentimes people do read, so don't worry, you did a fantastic job. And thank you very much for your report. And if it's okay with you at this point, we usually turn it over to just a few questions addressed to you and how you're doing and how all things at San Juan. So with that, I'm going to see if there's any questions from my colleagues. Ms. Creason?
Just a comment, you did great. I know it could be incredibly nerve-wracking to see so many bubbles and, you know, titles and whatnot, but you did a great job. And I didn't hear you stutter. I heard you take breaths. So you're good. You're good. Also, just want to say I'm really proud of you. Top of your class in a really challenging time is absolutely incredible. And so pat yourself on the back. I say this to all the seniors. You're not getting what you deserve. You know, I wish that you could get all the celebration, and you know, you've done so much to achieve and get to where you're at. And I'm so sorry that circumstances are, you know, tampering everything you deserve, but I'm proud of you and I'm really grateful to hear you speak tonight.
Thank you, I appreciate it. You guys are all very nice.
Are there any other questions from my colleagues? I had just a quick question. I also just really appreciated your report and also just how genuine it was and really letting us know how COVID has impacted you in both in academic studies, but just, you know, as a kid trying to make it through a pandemic. I really appreciated learning about the club Zooms, and I'm always really thrilled and thankful that people have gone, you know, above and beyond to keep the clubs going, even in a distance learning format. And I wanted to welcome you to share anything about maybe your favorite club or how that's been going. Any other reflections on your club Zooms?
Okay, yeah, so I'm in quite a few clubs and I'm a president of a few of them. But this semester, I really wanted, well, last semester I was working on starting my own club for San Juan so that once I leave, they could have the club behind. Basically, it's going to be, so the Zoom's only going to be once a month because I know it's like struggling for students to attend them. And there's going to be different, like teachers or adults from different fields. So like someone from a medical field, someone from educational, so that different students, they particularly don't have to be in the club, but they could attend the Zoom based off what profession is going to be interviewing them. Hold on, Claire, I'm in my Zoom. But no, I'm sorry.
You're okay.
But and then they're gonna come and they're gonna ask questions and basically on the road work questions as well, because I feel like high school prepares you for college, but sometimes it doesn't really prepare you for the real world. So in my club, I want to teach students about taxes and like how to invest and how to save and how to move out, what to look out for. And for like women, I want to raise awareness for women and safety guidelines to be aware of the sex trafficking and everything going on, especially with everything like with the riots and stuff. I just want people to feel more safe and have a safe environment. So that's a club I wanted to start. And again, the mental awareness club was really cool. And then we have an art club for students who want to be creative during this time and express themselves through poetry, art, or music, you know. Sorry.
You have absolutely nothing to apologize for. You did great, and I really enjoyed hearing about that. Thank you so much for sharing. And I don't know if you can, I know sometimes when you're set up on a phone or other device, you might not be able to see everybody, but everybody has pretty wide grins right now. And so I think I speak on behalf of most, if not all of us, and I say thank you for all the work. I mean, managing multiple clubs is a lot of work, but I also just appreciated here. I don't know if you want you know, a board member attending, but I love the idea of, you know, expanding, helping students expand what professions there are and that kind of thing. And so, know that we're here as a resource too, if you need it. It sounds like you've got it 100% under control, so you don't need to take us up on that. But thank you very much for joining us and spending some time with us this afternoon. I really appreciate it, and we really appreciate it. And I knew Miss Creason might want to jump in again because employment's all her jam for sure.
Yeah, there's that. And I was really excited about like a lot of your clubs that you just mentioned. So if it's okay, I would love to loop back with you offline, because I think I would love to offer my help if you want it. We can be helpful. I think that was just so great that you're trying to start a club just for real life experience. It's so incredibly important. And I really appreciated what you said about, being prepared, not just for college, but for actual life, whether it be that job. So we're a resource, not just me, all of us, but we're all a resource to you, and I'll be in touch. And I want to clap for her, President Viescas.
Thank you again, Carmen. Next, we will hear from McLean Rio Americano.
Hi, I'm McLean Burke, and I'm the elections chair and a sophomore at Rio Americano High School. Thank you for inviting me to speak with you. Today, I'll be addressing some of the challenges and concerns that my fellow students and I have had during our time in distance learning, as well as ideas our student government has for the months to come. Starting with the challenges and concerns, the student body feels that the 15-minute Zoom periods on Wednesdays are unnecessary and not productive. Time would be better spent using Wednesdays for hours or optional instruction instead of mandatory class time. Additionally, seniors have a lot of questions about graduation, and they haven't really been given any information about what that's going to look like this year, and they would just love some clarification. Similar to the seniors, the juniors feel rather in the dark about what is expected of them concerning college prep. They've expressed that they feel unprepared, and a lot of counselors are giving them very vague and contradictory information. Student government has proposed the idea of putting together a senior panel, giving juniors and underclassmen a platform to ask questions and get answers from people who are going through or have been through the process. One of the most concerning issues that was brought to our attention are students with 504s and other modified learning plans. They've expressed that they aren't receiving the help that they need, and were told that they would be given, and are often struggling even more with their schoolwork. They said that they are unnecessarily having to advocate for themselves, and the teachers aren't respecting the policies that have been put in place. Lastly, our student government believes it would be in the best interest of the students and the staff for the district to put out a definite statement about whether or not we will be going back to school this spring in the hybrid model. Most students have expressed their interest in staying online for the remainder of the school year, as it would be harder for them and for teachers to adjust, and the hybrid model would take away even more instructional time. On a more positive note, student government at Rio has a lot of ideas to improve the community and overall culture of our school. We've noticed a large disconnect in the freshman class, and they don't have an outlet to meet other students in their classes, and many haven't met anyone new this year. Student government is working on a way to get them together to connect, possibly through a weekly support group on Zoom led by our students. In regards to Spirit, we have virtual Spirit weeks throughout the year, like we had one for homecoming in the first semester, and we will also be reinventing our traditional Gala Spirit Week this March virtually. On the note of virtual rallies and Spirit, we have our Spirit commissioners working to do weekly announcements posted on our social media pages, and they've also put together virtual rallies throughout the year, incorporating various programs Rio offers, like the cheer team, song team, and band. More recently, Rio partnered with Del Campo and El Camino to do a virtual blood drive through Vitalant, which we normally do in person annually. Additionally, student government is putting together a student senate, which creates an opportunity to hear from a more extensive population from our student body, and it also motivates our government class to work harder and address more concerns of the larger student body. Lastly, our class has been looking into speakers to come talk to our school. In the first semester, we had Kevin Bracey, a motivational speaker, come and speak to several students over Zoom. And this semester, we've been in contact with Robert Paler, who is a former Jesuit rugby player who is paralyzed and now uses his story to inspire others. We're hoping to hear from him on January 21st. Thank you for your time and allowing me to speak on behalf of Rio Americano.
Thank you very much for that report. And at this time, I'm going to turn it to my colleagues for any questions. Dr. McKibben?
Yes, McLean, can you tell me a little bit more about your student senate, how the people become senators, how many per class and things like that?
Yeah, so we opened it up actually just to kind of everyone. We put it out on our social media pages, just anyone who was interested in being more a part of the school and, you know, kind of going outside of our immediate government, student government, those who were elected. And we have a couple people working right now to put that together. So far, I think we have 7 members of the Student Senate, and they will begin to meet fairly regularly and talk about certain issues that they're experiencing and that our student body is experiencing.
Thank you.
Any other questions from my colleagues? Ms. Creason, I think I saw you raise your hand.
My background's weird, but you don't want to see what's behind me, so we're keeping the background up. So McLean, thank you so much for your report, and I want to just really call out and show appreciation for your candor. We want to hear it all, so I really appreciate you sharing the struggles along with the positive. It really is appreciated. And if it's okay, I would love to connect with you offline as well to just do a deeper dive. I know you can only say so much in 2 minutes, right? It's a short speech, but would love to talk to you. I also just want to acknowledge, you know, Rio has experienced tremendous loss this year with the death of a student and an alumni. I mean, I just want to acknowledge the pain of your school. And I'm so sorry that, you know, that on top of everything else that you guys are having to deal with, it's a whole lot. You did have questions about reopening, and I'm sure staff can follow up with you because there are some decisions and some plans that have been made. There's also a COVID dashboard. So we can connect you with the right folks to get you all caught up on all that, on what is the plan. Totally understand, you know, want to know what's going on. Also wanted to say, I got an email from someone over at your school. You guys are developing a garden. And so there was a fundraiser, and can you talk a little bit about that? That seemed exciting.
So I've heard a little bit about this. This is outside of student government's control, but it's a senior project, I believe. Someone is raising money to kind of, I think, renovate like the garden area for the ILS program and make it wheelchair accessible and that kind of thing. So it's really cool, but it's not immediately tied to student government. It's the senior project.
Got it. Sorry to put you on the spot like that. I was like, oh, a Rio person, you have a garden coming up. So I apologize for that. So we're really excited about what you're doing, and I look forward to connecting with you.
Thank you. Me too.
Any other questions? I just want to express my, sorry. Oh, go ahead. Okay. Carmen, did you have another question pertaining to your report?
No, just for one of the things that they needed an answer to, I was going to recommend something that San Juan does that might help them. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's helpful. We haven't had that before, but I guess as long as no one says it's not okay, it's all within the scope of student report. So please go ahead.
So basically, as I'm a senior and I have a lot of questions about graduation as well, and I know a lot of students have questions about reopening of hybrid. So what our teachers do to not give us false hope, but still keep us like encouraged, they tell us different color zones that we're in and what color zone we need to be in to be safe and what color zone like we currently are in. So we have like positive reinforcement of how much we need to work towards. And if we don't have a graduation, we'll know, because if we're in the red, we just know it's not safe for anyone. And if we're in the purple, you know, vice versa. And it just helps the students be more level-headed and know whether it's safe for us to go back or not. But we do have our different options available. So I don't know, maybe the teachers can tell you guys what color we're in, like our teachers do, and it could help like the seniors like myself know, because being safe is more important than anything, you know?
Thank you.
Thank you, Carmen. And I know that that was included in some of the information that Ms. Creasing kind of alluded to. So anticipate some follow-up on that for sure. But I appreciate the spirit of the remarks and wanting to be helpful to your fellow peers. Thank you both very much for joining. I really appreciate having you here this evening. Student voice is really important to the board. You're welcome to stay for the remainder of the meeting, but
Clap for McLean too.
we can. Sorry.
We give.
Yes, thank you, McLean.
Thank you.
We recognize that you're busy, so if you have other things that you'd rather attend to, now would be the time to depart. But thank you again very much for both of your reports and for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much.
Next, we're at item E2, staff reports, and so we will hear from Superintendent Kern.
Thank you, President Viasquez. I'm going to touch on 3 items, one of which kind of was brought up amongst the students, and then Mr. Shoemake's going to give a quick report about our holiday event that we had as well. First, I wanted to kind of update the community and the board related to the vaccine. This has not been rolled out to educators yet. We expect it to start sometime in February. And when it does, our frontline teachers and others inside classrooms and at school sites will be prioritized. We're working to determine if it will be possible to use our own staff to administer the vaccine so that we can speed deployment when it is available. Vaccines will be voluntary and not required. All districts in the county are working together on this initiative in partnership with the County Office of Education and our local health officials. Regarding returning to in-person learning, we're absolutely committed and still planning on returning 2 weeks after the county reaches the red level of the state's risk monitoring system. So far, there is nothing in the governor's recently announced plan that would allow that timeline to be expedited. There are elements of the plan that may allow us to access and expand testing capacity directly as a school district that we are exploring. And then lastly, related to mitigating learning loss, we're working to develop what additional supports can be deployed to support students with a focus kind of in 3 areas. First, our current timeline through the end of this school year, then looking at what we would be able to do during the summertime, and then going beyond that into next school year and into the fall. I have to tell the board and the community, I had an amazing conversation with my Superintendent Students Advisory Committee last week, where I just posed the question about how could we better support you as students around mitigating learning loss, or even supporting review and other areas. And it was just a really robust conversation, and it really energized me to think about what we in this district could do with our partnerships that we have with our organizations, getting really innovative and creative around that. I think we will be able to do that. It is my intent to allow students to keep their devices, both the hotspots and those Chromebooks that we passed out through this summer and hopefully beyond, so that every student in this district has an opportunity to do some form of summer program. Always in the past, it's been maybe, credit recovery or things like that, or trying to get ahead. But what I heard from my student group was there may be a real need for review. So they had some really creative ideas on that. So we will have more to share in the near future, including an item on this agenda, on the February 9th board meeting. So look forward to that coming back to the board in a little less than a month with probably more details. We'll have some more information related to some of the funding that we'll be getting as well. So we're excited about the opportunities that that's going to provide. And Mr. Shoemake, at this time, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. Good evening, President Viasquez, board members, Superintendent Kern, Ms. Cunningham. First, I agree with Carmen. This group is really nice. So thanks for letting me speak this evening. As you know, our central office staff and departments participate in a day of giving called San Juan Cares every year. It's a great way for us to connect and contribute to our community. This year obviously looked a lot different than past years. And rather than celebrating in person at the district office, we held a drive-through event in the parking lot. I saw many of you there. I'm happy to report that this year we actually set new records for giving. A lot of concern about how the turnout would be in a parking lot during a pandemic, but we raised $1,175 for Camp Withers. That's a new donation record. We provided a truckload of new and gently used clothing for our San Juan clothes closet. We distributed a truckload of food for our San Juan food closet. And we collected 2 truckloads of toys for our San Juan kids. And I'd like to really just take a moment to extend a very special thank you to the CSEA board and our CSEA members for voting in November to authorize the purchase of $1,000 worth of new toys to support our San Juan Cares event. Year after year, CSEA supports this event, and it's truly amazing. As you know, events like this require a lot of planning, support, help. Shortly after San Juan Cares event, I provided the board with a list of employees that absolutely went the extra mile to make this event a success. I want to say there were at least 20 people that really went above and beyond. This is my 26th year in the district, and I continue being thankful for working with such a caring and collaborative and supportive team. We're already thinking about how to improve this event for next year. And while the drive-through concept was successful, I can assure you we are all looking forward to being back in the boardroom in person and celebrating next December. So again, thank you for your support of this annual event.
Thank you, Mr. Shoemake. I'm going to do a quick pause to see if any board members have questions on either of the staff reports. Okay, we are now at items E3 through E5. Mr. Allen, do we have any reports from board appointed district committees, employee organizations, or other district organizations?
I do not have anyone signed up for board appointed district committees, but we do have a speaker for employee organizations, Ms. Karen Smith with CSEA.
Thank you. Ms. Smith, please begin when you're ready.
Good evening, President Velasquez, members of the board, Mr. Kern, and Ms. Cunningham. I'm here to speak on behalf of classified employees. When we met with the district for negotiations, we were told no bargaining groups were going to be meeting or having discussions about salary or benefits until the governor's budget came out. Imagine CSEA's surprise when we were told the district had an agreement with the teachers union for a 1% one-time bonus and a $500 stipend. Imagine how your classified staff feel only being offered a 1% one-time bonus and not the $500 stipend too. Where is the transparency? Where is the good faith bargaining? Where is the equity? Classified employees make a lot less money than certificated employees, and many of these classified employees had to go out and purchase technology, upgrade their internet, use their own cell phones, etc., to do their jobs to ensure the success of all students in the district. Classified employees are also on site performing our jobs, being exposed to COVID, struggling with childcare issues because we are the essential employees. Our schools could not run without classified staff. We are the first staff in the office to greet the children and parents in the morning when they come to campus. Our nutritional staff feed the children. Our custodians clean up after the staff and students and keep us safe. Our instructional staff work hand in hand with teachers to ensure our students get the best education possible in these uncertain times. There would be no distance learning if technology services did not keep our network running and Chromebooks and other devices in the hands of students and our staff. Our support staff also keep track of attendance for ADA monies. We are just as important as teachers, and we are saying, me too. We want the same appreciation and compensation that you are giving to the teachers. Thank you for your time and have a nice evening.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Are there any other district organizations at this time, Mr. Allen?
There are not.
Okay, with that, we are at item E6, and there are no closed.
I'm sorry, I thought we would have the opportunity to pose questions, or was I wrong?
Thank you. No, and you'll recall that I invited you to correct me if I'm out of turn, so I appreciate that you did. We'll back up just a moment. Are there any questions for Ms. Smith? I apologize. We'll kind of just keep going in order. Mr. Hernandez, do you have any questions?
Sorry, I'm going to yield to Ms. Creason. I know she has a question, so go ahead. And if I have opportunity after her or later on, that'd be fine, but I yield.
Okay, just in the interest, I'm going to keep going through through order on each item. Ms. Costa, did you have anything ahead of Ms. Creason? Okay, Ms. Creason, go ahead.
I don't think anyone's ever yielded their time to me. Don't start that habit. I'll take it. Karen, I just want to first just acknowledge a lot of what you said. Some of these are questions. I know that we have an agenda item, a business item to discuss this as well. And so I'm going to save some of my comments for that, but I think some need to be addressed here. And I want to say first that everything that I'm saying is coming from a place of love, but I feel that we've gotten a lot of emails. And I know that a lot of your members are here. So I want to say, respond to some of what you said in this way, really for the benefit of your membership. And I want to start with your group is so respected and cared about, and we understand deeply, well, I'll speak for myself, although I know I speak for others when I say this, a deep understanding of your membership greatly contributes to the education of our children. 100% cannot be denied. We cannot do this without you. And so I want to make that very clear, because I want you and your members to hear that there is care. This is not a lack of care. It really rang hard in my ear when I was reading the communications, and I do appreciate all the communications. Please reach out anytime. But it was hard to read things like, let's show the board that you're important. It's like, no, I recognize how important you are. So I just want to put that out there so folks hear it. I also just have a question. It's my understanding that CSEA signed an agreement. So I'm just kind of wondering if there was a problem with the agreement, you still need to bargain and talk things out and work it out. Why was it signed? Because it seems to, if I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, there was a document that was signed and then we got the letters after that. So it puts me, I speak for myself, in a strange situation, but maybe I'm not understanding something.
We were told that everybody else was getting the 1%, and if we wanted to be in the same time frame, we needed to sign a side letter for the 1%. And we purposely left language in there to negotiate the $500 stipend. So this 1% is not a final agreement.
Okay.
We didn't want our employees or our members not to get the 1% when everybody else did. However, our members don't feel that just 1% to classified as equitable.
Okay, and so I think I'll have some questions for staff when we get to that item based on what you just said, and I'll get some clarification. I want to also just some language that was coming from some of the letters, and that came from your presentation was, this seems to be a bonus. This is for the hard work. It's my understanding that the dollars are for reimbursement of expenses. And I did some digging and asked some questions. My understanding that the district has committed to reimbursing expenses, instructional expenses for all CSEA members that had to pay. I mean, because you shouldn't have to pay for these things. You should, be provided with what you need to do your job and to provide instruction. And so it's my understanding that you will be reimbursed for those items. And so I'm wondering, because I bring this up because it didn't seem to be clear in the letters we were receiving that people knew that. So I'm wondering, do people know that?
No. First off, a form letter has gone out to a lot of our members saying, why didn't you come to the school site and pick up supplies? Well, there was a pandemic. And our instructional staff, they're not given technology. They weren't given Chromebooks right away. A lot of our staff had to go out and purchase technology. We've incurred the same expenses for electricity. For a lot of our members had to get Wi-Fi access. They had to upgrade their Wi-Fi access. They've incurred a lot of expenses. And all of your teachers have gotten this $500 stipend. Not all of your teachers are at home teaching. Some are in the classroom. So the employees feel that here again, the teachers got more of the piece of pie. When we're told there's a piece of pie, everybody's supposed to get the same piece. That doesn't seem to be happening in the past few years.
Okay. And again, I'm writing some notes, and so I'll bring some questions back when the item comes up in the business items. Because I would like to delve deeper into some of the things that were said, but I have to ask staff, and that's kind of weird in this item, right? I do want to address one other thing, and I know you know this of me, Karen. I am an executive director. I have my own staff. And it is pretty standard to, like I said, reimburse for, printers, paper, ink, whatever my staff needs to do their job at home, because they're all at home too. We absolutely reimburse that. You should reimburse it. You shouldn't have to pay for that yourself. But we don't reimburse for heat. We don't reimburse for electricity. And that's pretty standard too. So I just want to point that out outside of district. I don't think that's unique just to this situation. But again, I want to reiterate, no one should be having to use, their own money to print anything.
So I guess our question is, did every teacher submit all their receipts, and did they only get compensated for what they've put out? Because we were told every teacher got a $500 stipend.
Yes, but so to address what you just said, though, it's my understanding that CSEA was told that you didn't need to provide receipts. You could sign an affidavit with the understanding, because we wanted to meet people where they at, understanding. So no, you're saying that didn't happen.
I haven't. This is the first time I'm hearing that.
Okay. Well, when we received, I will say, when I received all, so many letters of concern, it hurt my heart, because of course we care about you, and I want to make sure that our team is taken care of. And so I'm just kind of reiterating the answers that I got was, no, we are reimbursing. You don't have to provide receipts, because there is an understanding that you might not have them anymore. You just sign an affidavit. So it sounds like there's maybe a communication breakdown too. And I want to make sure that the staff knows what they can do. Because I mean, again, the letters that I'm receiving, it doesn't seem like folks know what I know. And so that concerns me, but I think we can get there. And I think in this time of tremendous struggle, we got to figure this out. So our folks are taken care of, and we're doing the best we can for our kids. So I'll be happy to do whatever I can to help us get there. And I think more will come out when we talk about this item in business.
Well, that's the first I'm hearing that. I heard Jim has sent out an email saying, what expenses did you incur? Why didn't you go to the school site in the future? Yet we've got people who are already out these expenses, and that was not communicated in that way that you're telling me. Okay,
well, I appreciate the dialogue. I know we don't usually do this, but I thought it was important that we do, considering the letters. And like I said, we'll talk more when the business item comes up. And that's it for me, President Viescas.
Thank you, Ms. Creason. Dr. McKibben, did you have any questions?
No questions.
Thank you. So with that, we are then dispensed with items E3 through E5, and we will move to item E6 at this time. There are no closed session actions to report, so we are at item F, visitor comments. Mr. Allen, will you please give instruction to those in attendance via Zoom on how they can raise their hand if they have a comment at this time?
Certainly, President Viescas. This item is an opportunity for those individuals attending the meeting to offer comment on topics that are not on tonight's agenda. If your comment is related to an item on tonight's agenda, we would ask that you hold your comment until that item is called, and public comment will be offered at that time. If you'd like to offer a comment on a topic that is not on tonight's agenda and have joined us on the Zoom call, now would be your opportunity to raise your hand. To do so, click the raise hand button found at the bottom of your screen on a mobile device, the bottom of the participant list on a desktop Zoom client, or by pressing *9 if you've dialed in to tonight's meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Do we have any general visitor comments at this time?
We do have one raised hand at this time.
Okay, before we jump into them, I would just like to remind the public that comments are limited to 2 minutes. The clock on the screen counts down the time, and under the Ralph M. Brown Act, the board is not allowed to comment on items that are not on the agenda. So we are not ignoring your comments. We just can't respond to any individual comments. The superintendent can refer items to staff who can follow up with you. And Mr. Allen, I appreciate your assistance in advance in making our way through the raised hands at this time. I will let you take over.
Thank you, President Viescas. Our first comment is from Miss Alicia Nichols. Miss Nichols, when you're ready.
Good evening. My name is Alicia Nichols, and I am an instructional assistant at San Juan High School. Time and time again, this district has shown us that the only thing the board cares about is the bottom line and the board member checks. You told us that you wouldn't negotiate until after the governor's budget was announced, and yet you managed to pay yourselves and negotiate salaries and stipends with the SJTA. But what about classified employees? It wasn't until December that we discussed our 2020-2021 tentative agreement, and I still have not gotten an official district notification of my hours for distance learning. And you still aren't going to include a raise or even a stipend for us, nor hazard pay if we have to go back. And why is it that just teachers receiving a stipend for classroom setup when almost all classified employees had to spend our own money on personal devices to use Zoom and then had to train ourselves on how to use it? You are definitely glossing over classified employees yet again. We as IAs have been given so many new job duties, are working longer hours, essentially making us co-teachers with our teachers, and you cannot pay for us to get stipends, let alone give us the cost of living increase that we need. You can not afford to give us the $500 stipend, then I would like to ask what you plan on doing in March when I'm supposed to get my raise. I'll receive a raise of $1 whole, which will bring me to $15.70 an hour and should be an extra $1,000 for the year. Are you telling me there's no money in the budget to give me and my classified members the raises we agreed upon in our contracts as well? Because what we're making now is not nearly enough to live on, and you're telling us you cannot afford to give us a stipend? Speaking of what we make, I have a fun history lesson. Minimum wage was originally designed by FDR to be the amount of money one needed to live and support a family comfortably. But while you guys lied to us that raises and stipends weren't in the budget and admitted that you knew that you were paying us below the poverty line, the quote for an actual minimum wage has gone up to $22 an hour, according for inflation. The least you can do is give us the stipend, because being told that an algorithm calculated my pay to $14 an hour, that was too low, and then you barely raised it to $14.70, which is still not enough for me to pay my bills, is soul crushing. And speaking of my bills, I did a budget assignment with my seniors, and I should not be able to afford to live on my own. In fact, I can't. My boyfriend pays more than me. Amazon employs their warehouse.
Ms. Nichols, that is time. I'm going to have to ask you to conclude your comments, please. Thank you, Ms. Nichols. Our next speaker is Kim Sell. Ms. Sell, when you are ready.
My name is Kim Sell. I work at Laurel Ruff Transitional School. On the same subject, I want to say I have gone out and bought headphones. I have bought whiteboards. I have bought books. The aides work on Wednesdays when the teachers do not do Zoom, so we are on there ourselves and we're making our own lessons for that day. The teacher that I work with got reimbursed for buying his headphones. When I asked for the same thing, I was told no, the aides don't get reimbursed for any of this stuff. It's not right. And I have to work 2 extra jobs just to make ends meet. And right now I'm living with no heat in my house. And it's ridiculous. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sell. Our next comment is from Debbie Paluca. Ms. Paluca, and I apologize if I did not get that name correct.
No, you said it the right way. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Hear me?
We can. Go ahead.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Yes, my name is Debbie Paluca. I'm a child development assistant. And I've been working for San Juan for 30 years as a child development assistant, and I'm in my 7th month of in-person with 10 wonderful preschoolers, and I work with 2 wonderful teachers who treat me just as a fellow teacher. I am fully qualified. I have a master teacher permit and my child development degree. And it's pretty sad that after 30 years of being dedicated to families and students that I don't even make $17 an hour. And so I've been fighting for the minimum wage. I am totally a classified union member and proud of it. And I really feel from the bottom of my heart that every classified employee, and including myself being on the front lines, deserves that $500 stipend just as much as the teachers do. So please, please consider that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Paluca. Our next speaker will be Laura Cram. Ms. Cram, when you are ready.
Thank you. I'm confused as to why teachers need a $500 stipend and instructional assistants don't. We both had to set up a home office to do our jobs. Nobody from the school district, school board, special education office, or the school site I worked at in the spring told us to go to the site to get supplies. Someone should have told us to do so if that was your expectation. Now, in this late hour, you expect us to accept a 1% bonus on our limited wages as reimbursement? For example, in 2002, we made $7,000 more than a full-time minimum wage worker per year. And now we make $9,000 less than a full-time minimum wage worker per year. Again, denying instructional assistants fair pay and a stipend sends a strong message that instructional assistants are not important or valued. I hope this school board will take into consideration our reimbursement with regard to the hard work we do daily to help educate our students. Please ask yourselves if $20,000 gross income per year is a fair wage for those educating our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cram. And President Vasquez, that is the last speaker that we have for public comment at this time. I take
Okay,
that back. We did just have two hands pop up very quickly there. If we would like, we can proceed with Amber B.
Yes, please do. Thank you.
Amber B, when you are ready.
Thank you so much. Can you all hear me?
We can.
Thank you. I
We can.
apologize for popping in there at the very last moment. I was briefly reviewing our agenda here, and I wanted to name, I participate on LCAP, and something that we have shared a couple of times in our meetings, and I wanted to make sure gets back directly here, is concerns over navigating the district website. I know in particular in a offline meeting I was having with folks at Encina, we talked about how important it was to have parents and community voice at the board meeting today, and sharing what the topics were going to be. And when I briefly skim the website, that doesn't stand out to me what the topics or what the agenda items were going to be. And so from the perspective of parents and wanting to increase parent participation and engagement, I wanted to share here tonight on behalf of myself as a parent at Star King, as well as something that we've been talking about, as I said, in LCAP, really prioritizing taking a look at how we are laying out information on the website and how we are making it accessible to all parents. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Amber B. Our next comment is Ana Quinones. Ms. Quinones, when you are ready.
Hola, buenas noches. Good evening. Thank you for taking my comment last moment. I just want to encourage our decision makers to continue on their equity journey by reading into school choice. There might be of interest some books by Rassel and Rothstein, research about school choice programs. These experts in their field find that choice of schools, school choice programs such as open enrollment, neither raises student achievement nor enhances equality of opportunity and may exacerbate racial segregation and socioeconomic stratification. Although open enrollment sounds really great, it does breed inequity. Our district is large and nicknamed schools in a specific region, the schools on the west end. Although these schools are simply neighborhood schools within economically neglected neighborhoods, without transportation to get to choice schools with specialized programs, and without campaigns to shake negative reputations, we have mostly brown, Black, multilingual, immigrant, and impoverished students at these designated Title I schools. Open enrollment is the reason why we have West End schools. It is not easy to work at a Title I school. A school can apply for Title I status when 40% of the school population qualifies for free or reduced lunch. However, schools like Encina, which were just mentioned, are 98% free or reduced lunch. So please consider open enrollment just to plant a seed and to water that. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your comment, Ms. Quinones. Our final speaker is Araceli Reed. When you are ready.
Hello, thank you for taking the time to hear me out. I was calling because I was curious about the raise as well, and the stipend, and it seems like we will not be getting it from what it sounds like, but that's not my concern. My concern also is the fact that we were going to be returning, well, the Bridges After School program will be returning back to sites full time, all day, offering a program to San Juan staff and teachers, plus the foster youth and I believe Conveying. So I just wanted to make sure or get an understanding how that is safe for us to return to an all-day program 5 days a week, but our students are not. I feel that we are undervalued. We are being considered a daycare. And I think that one of the biggest issues that we have is that during the school year, we are constantly ratio. So I don't understand how, again, this is fair for us to go back, for us to have a program that runs a full time. And I just understand how it's fair for us not to get this stipend. I myself had to purchase a desk, a chair, specific lighting to have in my house so I can not have headaches, because everything that I'm doing now is on the computer. I am offering a service to my students, and which reminds me, who's going to take over my Google Classroom when I'm working full-time in site? The connection that I have with my students is not going to be there because I'm going to be expected to run a site, or, and I think that that is the biggest concern that we have as well, because we created a bond with the students during this time. As small as my group may be, they still rely on me to provide support for them. And, this is just all very frustrating. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comment. And we do have one additional comment, Johanna Wright, when you are ready.
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
We can.
We can.
Okay, I also am speaking on behalf of the Bridges After School program. The Bridges After School program reaches out to so many students that need us. We all, as site coordinators, have been not seen. We have not been heard. We are touching so many students that need us deeply. We have all had to set up our own home offices. We have had to utilize every opportunity to learn on our own, to set up our Google Classrooms, to do our Zooms consistently. We are there for our students, and we do not feel like we are seen or heard by the district. We make a huge difference with supporting not only our school staff and our teachers, but we are there for our families. And I think it's very important that you guys understand that we are making a difference, and we definitely should be heard, and you guys should be looking at the students that you're impacting, making the decisions that you're making going forward regarding the after school program. Thank you.
And thank you for your comment. President Villescaz, that is the final comment. We have no further raised hands at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. At this time, we will then move to item G, the consent calendar. Do we have any public comments for items that are on the consent calendar at this time?
We have had no comments submitted for the consent calendar, and I see no raised hands at this time.
Okay, and do any board members wish to remove any items G1 through G11?
Ms. Villescaz, I would like to pull G1 and move the rest of the items. I'll share, I had a request from a board member to have that pulled. So when that comes back, I'll explain around that.
Okay, noted. So with that, then is there a motion to approve items G2 through G11?
So moved.
It's been moved by Mr. Hernandez. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Ms. Costa. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
That was unanimous. Item G1 was pulled. Would any of my colleagues like to make any comments or questions at this time on G1?
So, Ms. Villescaz, what I can share with you is that there was a question brought up on part of this item of G1 related to employee discipline CL 499. They felt like there was more information needed prior to really making a decision on this. So the request was possibly to provide more information, background on this before so we could provide that information to all of the board members. They would have that information. We would bring that back at the next meeting so that they could make a decision on that.
Okay, so there's been a motion and items G2 through G11 have been approved. And so G1 will just not move forward at this time and we'll return with more information. I believe and I'm 99% confident that removing it in any way does not require a vote, but Ms. Simlick, please jump in at this time to correct me if I'm wrong. I just got an affirmation from Superintendent Kern that that's the case. So we will see this item returning to us at our next meeting.
So we just need to move the rest of G1.
Will the rest of G1 go forward? That was my question.
Yep, correct.
So
I see. One moment.
So we were only pulling that one part of related to
Right.
We need to move the rest and take action on the remainder of G1 if we can.
I would like to move the remainder of G1, excluding the pulled item.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. It's been moved by Ms. Costa, seconded by Dr. McKibben. Is there a motion to approve the remaining items of G1?
Aye.
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 Thank you. That was unanimous. And so that pulled item for G1 will return to us. Okay. We are then at item I1, equity update, part 2. Dr. Calvin, please begin when you are ready.
Thank you. Good evening, President Villasquez, members of the board, Superintendent Kern, and Ms. Cunningham. Tonight, the equity team will present their second equity update for the 2020-2021 school year. The presentation will include a summary of our fall actions and a status report from our various working groups. We will begin with the Director of Equity, Diana Marshall, and Program Coordinator, Lori Vine, who will summarize the work that occurred this past fall.
Good evening, board members, President Villasquez, and Superintendent Kern. The 8-point commitment provides us with laser-focused clarity on our equity actions as a district. This, in combination with the equity lens and the work around leading for equity, is truly manifesting an equity-minded culture across our district, where policies, procedures, and practices are being changed and improvement plans across sites clearly have equity at the core. So when looking at our fall actions, there was 3 large buckets of actions that took place this year. So first, I want to start by again thanking you for supporting the equity work through your approval of Board Policy 0415. I do believe that this policy provides just another tool for our system that reinforces that diversity, equity, and inclusion are imperative for us to shift to something we do, to something we are. At this time, I would like to introduce Lori Vine, who will share more about the professional learning as well as the integration of the social justice standards. Lori?
Thank you and good evening. As a result of the listening sessions this past June and the launch of the 8-point commitments to educational justice, another need was overwhelmingly voiced by our San Juan community, the need for more training. The district felt the responsibility to provide leadership training to support all district employees, as well as to create supports for the inclusion of anti-bias and anti-racist education. And so through a shared commitment with San Juan Teachers Association, it was determined that certificated staff would be required to engage in 9 hours of professional development this year. Administrators and classified employees are also being offered a wide variety of professional development opportunities. What began in August was 6 of these 9 hours that were created by a district committee of stakeholders to help establish a baseline understanding of equity and the work that we have in the district towards an anti-bias education. The baseline began in August with a 3-hour introduction to the social justice standards that all certificated employees were given at the same time. And then in October, we were given the opportunity to think about how our students' lived experiences impact what we need to teach in the classroom. In October and November, we had dialogue at the site level around site-specific strengths and areas of growth for those schools. And finally, in April, we will be concluding the year with another hour related to empathy, understanding, and equity. The remaining 3 hours of the 9 hours are basically given to sites to decide how they want to implement those hours. Currently, we have 41 different schools engaging in whole site PD presented by our equity liaisons. Each site had the opportunity to choose 3 sessions from a variety of equity related topics. The remaining sites have selected individual choice, and so their practitioners will be given the opportunity to embark on their own journey in selecting their own 3 hours of equity development, equity professional development from our equity website. And then yes, as we've mentioned before, the integration of the social justice standards has been an important step in providing an anti-bias and anti-racist education for our students. And for those of you who are not familiar, the standards are essentially a roadmap for anti-bias education at every stage of our TK-12 education. They're comprised of anchor standards and age-appropriate learning outcomes, and they provide a common language and a structure for educators to help guide them in their curriculum development across all grade levels and all content areas. And they're really meant to help make our schools feel more just, equitable, and safe. Our work with the standards actually began many, many years ago, back in 2014, I believe, 2015, with a collaboration with California State University, Sacramento. We have a social justice institute that we partner with them on, and our educators go through a year-long program with them where they learn about the social justice standards and how to embed them in their curriculum. We've also had the tremendous opportunity to send hundreds of our staff to the Museum of Tolerance in Los Angeles and have built a partnership with the museum over the last several years in providing a deeper dive into the standards. In fact, we've created a partnership with one of the writers of the standards, and she has come to our district to tailor training specifically to us for our staff. And finally, this summer, with distance learning at the front of all of our minds, we decided that we needed to offer our practitioners an opportunity to dig into these standards in a distance learning way. And so a virtual model was created, and over 460 of our staff members have completed that module as well. All of this leads to a joint commitment with San Juan Teachers Association and the district that was developed in September. This is a joint statement highlighting our collective responsibility to provide anti-bias education, which includes the integration of these standards into the classroom and across our schools. This is significant because it affirms that San Juan is a community that we are committed to working together to ensure inclusive classrooms and schools for all of our students. And now I'll hand it back to Diana.
Thank you so much, Lori. So as we move into working groups, I really just want to share out that the purpose of the working groups is to really co-create action plans and implementation guides in a transparent fashion, that where stakeholders have been invited to be a part of the solution as we move forward. There are currently 8 equity working groups. These groups are actually taking the ideas that were established in the 8-point commitment and building those out action and implementation plans. Each commitment has at least one working group that is currently in session or meeting on a regular basis. There is a common process for all of the working groups. We're following the continuous improvement process, which includes making sure that all groups clearly define their tasks, reviewing data and comparing it to best practices in that specific area, making prototypes, going out to get feedback from other stakeholders, making adjustments, and then finalizing implementation plans and timelines, with during the implementation going out for periodic review and reflection. Each of the working groups are at different phases along this continuum, and you will see in each slide that we noted what part of this continuum they are currently working on. In total, in the working groups, we have 110 different employees supporting these working groups. We have classified, certified teachers or and classified employees, administrators, parents, bargaining unit leaders, and community partners who are involved in at least one or more of the working groups. At this time, we are going to spend some time sharing out the status of each of the working groups. And I would like to introduce Alicia Williams, teacher on special assignment in early childhood education. Alicia.
Thank you, Diana. So the task of the Indicators of Success Working Group was clearly defined in the 8-point commitment. This team was tasked with developing indicators of success for each of the 8 commitments and metrics to measure those indicators. The working group spent time in the first few sessions researching how other organizations were measuring their success. A common theme emerged, which was the use of rubrics, and the team learned that for each of the commitment area, there are 4 to 5 indicators, which the team is currently completing. The team will then share out the indicators for feedback and make noted adjustments before creating the rubric.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. The student-led social justice forums are being created by a team which includes community partners such as Improve Your Tomorrow, SAYS, and Project Optimism, all which have experience in providing social justice forums for our youth. In addition to BSU, GSA leadership, and SWAB advisors, along with teachers who are all integrating the social justice standards into their content. In this first year, especially with the challenges of engagement during distance learning, the group has decided to start small. The team will be offering 4 sessions that will support students in creating a youth participatory action research project around social justice topics. And that first session will start this week with students from San Juan High School and from SAYS. Lastly, the Workforce Diversity Group, while still in its developing stages, has been working collaboratively to brainstorm ideas about improving retention practices, building capacity across the district, and then developing targeted retention practices specifically for our employees of color. Additionally, the group is working on developing and sharing out the manager's toolkit to collect feedback as the team continues to develop career pathways, the retention hub, and training for our hiring managers. Next, I'd like to introduce teacher Dana Levy from Whitney Elementary.
I'll be continuing to describe the progress of some of our other working groups. First up, we have the Equitable Schools and Programs Working Group, which is focused on ensuring more equitable schools, especially around school choice and specialty schools, as well as equitable access around courses and programs such as IB, AP, and GATE programs. And because this is such a complex topic that is further complicated by Ed Code, the team is starting slow with the goal to report out findings by the spring of 2021. The team is interested in finding some exemplars across districts who have successfully addressed this topic. Some of the goals in mind are to replicate the success of equal opportunity schools initiatives in middle and elementary schools. For example, using a holistic approach to admissions for all children and looking at students' potential for growth rather than only static numbers and grades. And with the hopes of putting plans in place to ensure every school is a great school where teachers and community members are eagerly sending their children, the team has a plan to engage in empathy gathering surveys, where we can speak to all stakeholders about their decisions to send their children to a neighborhood school versus using a school choice voucher. Next are our equity teams. The equity team working group began by defining what an equity team is and its goals at school sites as well as district-wide, and thinking about the potential challenges and barriers that we might face. First, members spent some time gathering research about the best practices from around the country and comparing them with our own district. By working with our community partners in EPIC Education, we've been designing the teams and laying the groundwork for site level execution. Right now, we're thinking about the makeup of the teams, how to make sure they're representative of all school community members and stakeholders, as well as how to ensure equity work is centered and seen as essential to all aspects of school life. Lastly, our Identity Safe Protocols Working Group is in the process of creating a toolkit for sites to use in order to take a close look at their school and community populations and ensure that all stakeholders are represented. School sites, possibly facilitated by equity teams, will have the opportunity to complete identity audits, curriculum and classroom audits, wherein they will think about staff and students asking themselves, who are we and who are the students and families that we serve? Their next steps are then to ask themselves, how are we responding to our school populations, looking deeply at the books we're reading, the language we're using, and if students and families truly see themselves represented in our classrooms. Once schools identify places for improvement, we plan to provide a menu of offerings, such as site-specific trainings and resources that will further our work to be inclusive. Now I'll send it back to Diana, who will explain more about accountability.
Thank you, Dana. So one of the clear actions that we heard not only in June, but from previous stakeholder listening sessions is that we need to implement a system to be able to report racism and inequities for all members of our community, to hold each other and the system accountable to our 8-point commitment. The structure of the reporting system was relatively easy to identify, and we are looking at incorporating it into using the problem resolution system that already is in existence in our district. From there, the district has created drafts on how we are going to communicate this plan and the accountability of it, and a training plan. In addition, in the plan is a transparency component where there'll be a team of stakeholders that will review patterns and trends 4 times a year on the problems that have come in and make recommendations for further action if appropriate to the district. The team is hoping that by the end of January to be sharing out these draft plans through the structured feedback loops that we are creating. So that's the update on the accountability for all. And at this point, this is the conclusion of our equity update part 2 presentation, and we are available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Calvin, Ms. Marshall, and to the team for the presentation. Mr. Allen, do we have any public comments on this item at this time?
We do have one hand raised at this time for comment. We will start with Debbie Paluca, and I will remind all public comments are limited to 2 minutes, which will be shared with the timer on the screen. And actually, Debbie has lowered her hand at this point. And I see no other hands at this time, nor do we have any submitted comments. However, another hand has just went up, Mr. Chris Shields. And again, 2 minutes when you are ready, Mr. Shields.
Hi, guys. I have a question about the upcoming school year. I work at Northridge, and with the COVID the way it is, I was wondering, do you guys know if the kids are going to come back to school, or are we going to cancel?
So Chris, I'm gonna ask you to pause. This is actually public comment for this agenda item on the equity report. So this would be a general comment that you're offering or question. So we'd ask you to hold that to the general comment period that's towards the end of the meeting at this point.
Oh, okay. Thanks, guys. Sorry about that.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. And yes, I was also going to offer the same reminder. We do have agenda item L, visitor comments, which is another general visitor comment section for individuals to raise items, any questions related to items other than our business item at hand. Mr. Allen, are there any raised hands for this item?
There are not.
Okay. With that, I'll turn it back to my colleagues, and we're gonna go through what would typically be our dais seating order for any questions or comments. So we'll begin with Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you. I just want to make a comment more than the question. I just want to thank you for your work. It's very exciting to be able to be part of a district that has an equity department, and that we're striving as diligently as we can to help educate, because that's really what we're trying to do, is educate equity as a district. And I don't know how other districts around us are doing, but I clearly, with the bottom of my heart, I'm so proud of our equity department. And for one, and I'll be very honest, I remember when I went to the Museum of Tolerance on my trip, and I had no idea, with no expectations, and I walked out of there a different person. I really did. And it was just by pure education, and then taking a step back and just looking back how I can be a better person. And that's what we're trying to do. So thank you very much for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. Ms. Costa.
I'd like to echo Mr. Hernandez's comments. The team has done a remarkable job. This is a very comprehensive plan. And I think as we move forward, I have great hope for our district to finally take the steps that lead to every student, every family member, every staff member being treated in a way that is respectful and also understanding of each individual. So thank you for your work. I will be excited to hear the next report and see where we are in terms of our equity teams and the things that are happening at school sites. So thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Creason.
Thanks. I have a couple of comments and just one question, and you've heard me say some of this before, but just very thankful for the long game. You know, I can't say that enough, that it's not just, we're going to have everyone read this one book one time and call it good. We're not going to do this one training one time and say, hey, we addressed the issue. That we're doing that deep dive, long game across the board and really very meaningfully including community in that work. And we're leaving space, you're leaving space for course corrections or changes as you know, community provides their input. From my perspective, you know, there is no, oh, we did this great thing, look at the shiny thing, tell us how we did. It's authentic and it's meaningful. And, you know, being a woman of color, being a Black woman, especially, I mean, all the time, but especially in this time, I mean, just knowing that we are putting this energy, because it takes a lot of energy and a lot of staff time while we're in the middle of distance learning. We didn't put it to the side. We continue to put this in the forefront. And I am so incredibly thankful from the bottom of my heart that this has continued to be a focus of our district. So thank you. Thank you very much. I wanted to say too, it's my understanding until recently, and it is the case in many other districts, this isn't unique to SJUSD, that teacher training is usually in a model where teachers can choose, you know, what they want their professional development on. So it seems to me that it's quite unique that there is an agreement with our teachers to have a mandatory training in this space. I think that's huge and profound. It's not an option. The question is, did I hear correctly that classified staff, it's not mandatory for classified staff? Did I understand that correctly?
My understanding is that at this point, we have been offering training. We offered classified training separately to just understand the 8-point commitments in October. We're offering another follow-up training. They've tried to give, they've had an opportunity to give feedback on what would be valuable to them, because that's so an important piece of equity training, is doing what's valuable to the consumer or the participant. And those will be happening again in February as well as in April. Many of the site classified staff have been participating in the site professional development, and I do not have, there's a miss in me being able to track who are the ones who have been participating that way. But we have been tracking in the PL system all of the people who have been attending the training, so we have that data.
Thank you for that clarification, and it's great to hear that classified is joining in, you know, at the school site level. and we're just casting that wide net. So I just hope we can keep doing more of that and adjusting as times continue to change. And I hope that as we figure this thing out, that maybe we can even expand this out further. I know you're already doing a lot. I'm sorry, I'm gonna even say this out loud, but I think families also need this, right? Like how do we really put out those tentacles so we really have that change? I know I have heard some feedback from our work in equity. What does this mean to my community? Maybe a community that doesn't see them as an impacted community. And I just want to call out that when the most vulnerable among us is taken care of and valued and disparities are addressed, we all thrive. Your whole community is better when the most vulnerable among us is taken care of. And so I just want to point that out for folks that might not see themselves in this work, because it's about all of us. Thank you. That's it for me.
Thank you.
Dr. McKibben.
Again, I want to congratulate all those people, the many people that went through the training. What was it, 460 and what was 110 participants in the work groups and so forth. That's a real evidence of our commitment to this sort of thing. Also, I'm looking forward to the student-led social justice forums over, I think it's the next 2 Thursdays.
Yep.
And looking forward to seeing what they come forward on. I do have a couple of questions related to, I was really impressed that one of the things that school districts don't always do is use the initiatives they've had in the past to bring them forward. And I noticed that you're using the material from the Equal Opportunity Schools Initiative that was mostly a high school piece and bringing it into the elementary and middle school. I believe Dana mentioned the holistic approach was one of the things they were thinking about. Are there any other kinds of things that came out of the Equal Opportunity Schools that you think that the elementary and middle schools might benefit from? In particular, how would the teachers in the elementary and middle schools know about some of the really remarkable things that were done in high schools on the Equal Opportunity Schools? How do they learn about them?
So I think, one of the reasons why that has been brought up as a data point is when we were looking at the data and looking at AP and IB numbers, especially the demographics, and then comparing it to our honors demographics and then our rapid learner demographics. There was some, we closed some gaps when we're looking at the AP and IB, and I think the team really attributed it to the Equal Opportunity Schools program. And so I think that some of the things that I know of is that identification and that mentorship of those individual students who have the characteristics for success, right? And how to build that relationship, a one-on-one, a tapping on the shoulder, hey, we think you would be really good for this, that common mentoring that I think might be very valuable. And it's a very simple task if you think about it, but how can we carry out that mindset further down in other programs? I don't know all the answers. We are at the beginning stages of what that would look like.
Are you thinking about you talked about mentorship? Are you thinking about, one of the things that I was really impressed with was the trusted adult notion? And is that the kind of thing that you're thinking about bringing into middle school and elementary?
Exactly.
Okay,
just really looking at all of the best parts of EOS and how might we how might we transfer, what skills would be able to be transferred, or what practices or strategies could be transferred at the other levels.
But most of it's in terms of giving confidence to those young people and talking about colleges and things like that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
One of My last piece was I appreciated you talking about accountability and listing the people that you were going to bring this group back. I did notice the school board wasn't on that list.
We can invite you. I will invite you if you'd like to be a part of it. Absolutely.
But the whole idea is that as Ms. Creason said, that if we don't have an amount of accountability and come back and talk to us about and talking about the things that we're doing, frankly, warts and all, that we can't get to where we need to be. So congratulations again, and I'm looking forward to the reports in the future. This is great stuff.
Thank you, Dr. McKibben.
Thanks, Dr. McKibben. And I'm just going to take a moment to kind of both say thank you to the team, echo my thanks as well, but also just acknowledge the like very strong unanimity that you have amongst this board and how remarkable that is, frankly, particularly given the moment of time that we are living in, frankly. I hope you all take a moment to acknowledge how incredible that is and really never take that for granted, because that's probably not this state and you know, did some litmus tests across the board. So to that, I also want to just say thanks to my colleagues and note that this work and this effort and you know, there's been a little bit of a refrain as we've started discussing this even through the summer. This work has continued, and a bit of a refrain of how can you be focused on this when there's so many other things to be focused on, and the commitment of it's not an either or, it's both, it's an and, because the work is that important. Is still strongly supported. And so I just want to take a moment to just appreciate that, both as a group, and I hope you all as professionals in this work, you know, see how significant that is. I do have just some kind of questions and more reflections on the presentation specifically, and that's around that accountability for all piece. I feel like one of the pieces that we have struggled with a little bit, just as a system, given the size, frankly, is whenever there's an event of significance that happens, everyone responds a little bit differently, and it creates sometimes some confusion, but more often just within the community. And so I really kind of appreciate, you know, it looks like building into this, right, is, you know, current problem resolution protocols. I feel like built into that is an assumption, right, that there will be protocols established and everyone can expect the same level of response when it is necessitated by an event. And I wanted to welcome the team to weigh in a little bit more on that if you felt compelled to do so, but wanted to just acknowledge that and make sure that my understanding was correct in terms of the role that part will play in our response as a system whenever there are incidences that happen.
There was a couple times where you were fading in and out. So I just want to make sure, yes, there are going to be protocols in place. In fact, we were talking specifically at our last meeting, really trying to get down to, well, what ifs and what if that, you know, and making sure that we're really clear. And I think where that really tied in is how important it's going to be to communicate what those protocols are and to consistently communicate that, so nobody feels like they're being treated differently than any other person who's using the system.
Great, yeah, you did. I really appreciate that, and sorry for going in and out. I think my
that's
AirPods might be failing. And then I also, on slide 10, you know, the indicators of success and the matrix laid out there. For me, that's probably one of the harder parts to tackle on this. And so I wanted to see if anyone had any more context or kind of meat that they wanted to add to the bones on what that looks like. Because a rubric on a topic like this seems pretty challenging to implement in a meaningful and consistent way. But I appreciate the work going into it, and that's not stopping us from trying to tackle it. I welcome any more additional context context or feedback on what that might ultimately look like when fully built out.
So, like as Alicia mentioned, that each of the commitments. So, for example, commitment number 1, there might be 3 or 4 different indicators, right? So I only gave you examples of one on this PowerPoint. So there would be a variety from having trusting, caring adults to that students feel that they're represented in their classrooms, along the walls, or a variety of things. I'm just speaking off the top of my head right now. And so then from there, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure that we sent out the indicators for feedback before we went to rubrics, because I think it's going to be really important to get really clear on what those indicators are. And having a lot of feedback will be important, because I think the more clear we get with those, the easier it will be to identify rubrics, what does it look like if a site or an individual is approaching, or are they meeting that standard, or are they exemplifying that standard? And so similar to the way that the system of professional growth set up those rubrics for the essential elements, is the same type of model that we would be looking at. So it's not going to be a cut and dry thing. There's going to be nuance to it, but I think it will be able to help us to reflect on where we're at in our journey to becoming successful.
Great, thank you. That's all for me. So thank you again to the team. Really appreciate the updates, and like my colleagues, look forward to future updates.
Thank you, and thank you for everyone who participated.
So with that, we are now at item I2, the science textbook adoption for grades TK through 5. Ms. Bassanelli will be presenting this item. Ms. Bassanelli, please begin when you're ready.
Good evening, President Villescaz, members of the board, Superintendent Cunningham. Tonight, we're bringing to you report 2 of the transitional kindergarten through 5th grade science textbook adoption for your approval. This is an action item, and it was presented to the board for discussion on December 15th, 2020. Myself and staff are available to respond to any questions the board may have.
Thank you, Ms. Bassanelli. Mr. Allen, do we have any public comments specific to item I2 science textbook adoptions for grades TK through 5?
We have not had any comments submitted, nor do we have any hands raised at this time, President Villescaz.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Do any board members have questions or comments at this time? Mr. Hernandez?
No comment.
Ms. Costa? Ms. Grayson?
I just wanted to call out, we discussed this at the last meeting, but the curriculum and standards, it's my understanding the curriculum and standards committee did review this and did unanimously approved this adoption. I'm sorry, I cannot talk right now. You know what I'm trying to say. They unanimously approved this adoption. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Dr. McKibben.
Yeah, Ms. Bassanelli, I don't know if Paula's there, but I did have a question and a comment that in terms of when you move to a new curriculum, such as this new science curriculum, what are the attempts that are made to preserve some of the best elements of the last curriculum? Let me give you an example that this was back in my volunteer days as a parent, that some of the investigations, I believe they called them at the time, and that's the thing, were fascinating things that the kids were given a great deal of freedom and that sort of thing. And it seemed to me to be the kinds of things that I hadn't seen, particularly in elementary classrooms. And the one I remember was when it was a tide investigation and so forth. Are there any opportunities when we're adopting a new curriculum to make sure that the best of the last curriculum aren't lost?
Dr. McKibben, I do have Paula Bauckham, Program Specialist for Science with us, and so I'm going to defer to her to respond to your question.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that question. And our last adoption for the last couple of cycles has been FOSS, the Full Option Science System, produced through the Lawrence Hall of Science. And it was a very hands-on program where students did have the opportunity to do lots of hands-on investigations. I would say that the benefit of our new adoption is it does have those same types of hands-on investigations, but it also brings up the inquiry piece, I think, to a higher level. So it embeds the science and engineering practices, which are part of the next generation science standards, really thoughtfully into the curriculum, which weren't always as front and center in the prior adoptions. Okay. So I would say it really does hold that at the heart, is the inquiry-based approach, as well as multiple opportunities for students to really dig in and do those really critical hands-on investigations.
Thank you. I mean, I just don't want us to lose some of the really good parts as we go. And sometimes we just kind of flip the switch and don't appreciate, what we had.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I think we will see that is all in, those great pieces that were in our old curriculum for the hands-on pieces are really strongly embedded in our new curriculum that we will be looking at to adopt this evening.
Yeah, it looks like it's really good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. McKibben, and thanks to the team as well. As was noted earlier, this was a discussion item at the December 15th board meeting, and tonight it is an action item. Seeing no further questions or comments, is there a motion at this time to approve report 2 related to the new textbook adoption for science TK through 5?
So moved.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Dr. McKibben and seconded by Ms. Creason. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. That was unanimous. Thank you. We are now at I3, Gateway International School Renewal Petition. Ms. Wagler, please begin when you are ready.
Yes, good evening, President Villescaz, members of the board, Superintendent Kern, and Ms. Cunningham. On November 30th, Gateway International School submitted a charter renewal petition to the superintendent's office. The superintendent is recommending that the board hold a public hearing for this petition. Presenting the public hearing information is Gateway International School Principal Joy DeCoy and Gateway Community Charters Deputy Superintendent Jason Sample. So Ms. DeCoy and Mr. Sample, you may begin your presentation. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Director Flagler. I assume that you can see my screen at this point in time. Just want to make sure. Very good. Again, good evening, President Villescaz, members of the Board of Education, and Superintendent Kern. My name is Jason Sample. I'm Deputy Superintendent for Gateway Community Charters, as well as a proud El Camino High School alum. I am here tonight with Gateway International School Principal, Ms. Joy DeCoy, and we are here to present to you on behalf of Superintendent Dr. Cindy Peterson, the lead petitioner for the renewal petition for Gateway International School. In addition to our lead petitioner and Superintendent Dr. Peterson, we also have our Chief Business Official, as well as our Assistant Superintendent, our Chief Business Official, Mr. Thornsberry, and our Assistant Superintendent, Dr. McCormick. There we go. So as a Capturing Kids' Hearts National Showcase District, Gateway Community Charters has over 18 years of experience providing high quality school choice in collaboration with our local school district partners, such as San Juan Unified, as well as Twin Rivers, Yolo County Office of Education, Sacramento City Unified, and Elk Grove. GCC manages and operates successfully 9 charter schools with 19 sites within the greater Sacramento region. As the GCC, we provide all of the central office services such as instructional support, human resources, business services, accounts payable, professional development to all of our charter schools. We have over 500 employees serving approximately 5,200 students in both TK through 12 seat-based as well as non-classroom-based program models. We have an annual budget of over 77 million with positive annual fiscal audits and reserves well above the required 3% minimum. And finally, as evidenced by the high staff retention that we have, the GCC is proud to have received the best places to work in Sacramento, this designation in the year 2015, 17, 18, and most recently in 2020. Now I would like to introduce Principal Joy DeCoy, who will share more information about the academic and program success of Gateway International School. Ms. DeCoy.
Thank you, Jason. Good evening, President Vasquez, board members, Superintendent Kern, and Ms. Cunningham. It's once again good to see you all well and healthy, and thank you for this opportunity to present. I appreciate the grace you've shown to all the presenters tonight, and I might need a little bit of that as well. We have some great things happening at GIS, as you can see listed here, but I'll highlight just a few. First, this week, it's as though GIS is getting a brand new school. On Thursday, we will move into our final phase of modernized classrooms. And I can hardly express to you how thankful I am, every staff member, every parent, and every single student. You have gifted us with many improvements, but most notably the portables, new HVAC systems, remodeled classrooms, and bathrooms. These updates will allow us to excel in instruction and services to our students. GIS and GCC appreciate the partnership with San Juan to make this happen. I'd like to thank some key San Juan staff for that. Frank Carmada, Nicholas Arps, Laura Leet, and Mitch Buchanan for their direction through this process, working with me directly, and to the board and to Superintendent for your commitment to this project. Since we were last before you, GIS has achieved 3 very distinct honors. In 5 years, we received 2 international baccalaureate authorizations, the primary years program authorization for TK through 5th grade, and the middle years authorization for 6th through 8th grade. We also received a full 6-year accreditation from WASC, the Western Association of Schools and Colleges. While these are very rigorous processes that require much work from teachers, staff, and students, through it all, we maintained a high retention rate for employees and a high level of parent and community satisfaction. GIS has experienced success with distance learning, as well as some challenges that I'm sure you know well, but we were ready to move to distance learning. We were already working with one-to-one technology, Google Classroom, a GoGuardian supervision program, and other digital programs. And we were able to get our students connected to their teachers online daily in less than a week of school closure in March. This school year, we had a phased-in return to school starting in October with a hybrid program following all safety and distancing requirements from the County Health Department. Teachers instruct from the classroom to students in person and online. We are extremely proud of our teaching staff for making this happen, knowing the challenges they face with it every day. Next slide. Because of the pandemic, the most recent school data we have for you is from spring of 2019. This chart shows progress over 2 years related to our California School Dashboard indicators and compares us to the state and the district. GIS is in the first column of each year, right? And it shows that we improved 1 color level for English language arts, chronic absenteeism and suspension rate, and improved 2 levels in math. Next slide. The next data chart gives detailed results for our CAF scores over 2 years. For English language arts, 58% of our students met or exceeded the standard. And in math, 47% of our students met or exceeded the standards. All subgroups, including English learners, SPED, socioeconomically disadvantaged groups, all made significant progress in getting closer to the standard. Coherent instruction has been a focus at GIS and within GCC over the past few years, with an emphasis on writing, and we think this is evident in our academic scores. GIS is closing the achievement gap. Moving forward, GIS will continue to focus on quality instruction during distance learning by eliciting feedback from all community members and adjusting as necessary to meet their needs. We have intentionally supported our students with social and emotional weekly lessons, which we know right now is more important than ever. We're committed to our action plans for IB, for WASC, and for LCAP, all of which align to provide support for both teachers and students. And of course, we look forward to working with San Juan as we put the final touches this semester to modernize our campus. GIS has a bright future.
Thank you, Principal McCoy. Again, we are very appreciative of the partnership and collaboration and the collaborative relationship that we share with the district. We truly consider ourselves part of the San Juan family. Finally, tonight, we have, again, in this virtual environment, we have over 100 supporters who are in attendance tonight via Zoom or YouTube to share their support for GIS. And tonight, we also want to say thank you for your time, and we look forward to having you on campus with us as soon as health regulations allow very soon. Thank you very much, and we're here to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you for the presentation. I declare the topic of the Gateway International Charter School Renewal Petition a public hearing, and it is now open for public comment. Mr. Allen, are there any public comments at this time?
We do have 2 hands raised at this time and a few more going up as I speak. Our first speaker will be Anya Varkentin, whose hand just went down. So we will start with April Soller. When you are ready, April.
I'm sorry, I was muted. Good evening. My name is April Atkinson Soller, and I've been teaching 3rd grade at Gateway International School since 2016. Upon arriving at GIS, I knew I had found something special. From the very first day, smiling faces and handshakes greeted me. Everyone wanted to make sure I felt welcome and comfortable. During my 2nd day of school, when I needed help dealing with a troubled student, a 1st grade teacher literally jumped to my aid. I had never experienced anything like this before. It made a huge impression on me and is what's kept me and many other teachers coming back every year. We are not colleagues, we are family. When one of us hurts, we all hurt. A few years ago, the teachers began calling each other marigolds because our superintendent once told us that marigolds help things around them grow. Like the flower, the GIS marigolds seek to help each other grow in many ways. We listen, help, offer suggestions, share ideas, and reflect together. You will not find a group of educators more dedicated to our craft. At GIS, teachers have the freedom to express themselves while executing a rigorous, robust IB program. We provide our students with rich learning opportunities suited to their needs while ensuring that our students feel safe, loved, valued, and challenged. We provide agency and choice, cultivating a lifelong love of learning. This year, as we face the challenges of distance and hybrid learning, we stepped up to the plate with a smile on our face, pushing our students to be flexible, patient risk takers who are not afraid to tackle difficult things. Additionally, our admin team is extremely supportive, making us feel respected, heard, and valued. Our principal knows each student personally, making every child feel special and cared for. GIS is truly a school like no other. It has been my home for the last 5 years, and it is a place that has helped me grow and continue to challenge and improve myself. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Our next comment will be from Captain 65, when you are ready.
All right, can you guys hear me?
We can.
Okay, cool. Yep. Sorry about that. I tried to change my name there, but this is Randy Hackett. we're the proud parents of 2 boys that go to Gateway, and I would like to thank Mrs. McCoy and all of her staff for their hard work and dedication they put into our kids and all the other kids as well in their education. For the first time we enrolled our kids into how they are doing now has been a great journey in watching them grow into good young men. My wife and I have seen real progress in their learning and mental development. I can't think of any other school that I could, that could do a better job than what Gateway does with our kids right now. They do a great job with the distant learning. There's been some glitches here and there, but parents stick together, teachers stick together to make sure, that everything goes smooth during our Zoom meetings. The programs that are offered to help when, needed, when there's been, been great for our kids to stay focused and in tune with their learning. We have, we've been able to work through, any issues to make sure our kids stay on track. And that's a testament to the staff. The improvements to the school have been truly refreshing. To see where the school was a few years ago and what has become of the school right now has been a wonderful experience. The modern look and the classroom upgrades are outstanding. And we owe a lot to Gateway International and their passion to develop our kids, providing them with a safe school environment. And I'm proud to say that I've been on the school site council for a few years now to help, give my input as a parent. Thank you.
And thank you for your comment. Our next comment will be from Anya Varkenton, when you are ready, which will be just one moment as I need to promote Anya to a panelist.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
We can. Please start when you're ready.
Okay. Hello, my name is Anya Varkenton, and I'm an 8th grader here at Gateway International School. Something I like about GIS is the students that go there and the teachers that teach there. The students are almost always kind and they help me with my social life and skills. The teachers at our school are always working hard to make learning fun. They encourage us to always do our best and to never give up. GIS to me is like a big international family that tries so hard to help everyone feel welcome no matter what culture they're from. It gives us an opportunity to keep our native languages alive. When I came to the school, I didn't know how to speak English, but over the years, English became my second fluent language. It's always a benefit to know more than one language, and that's exactly what our school provides. It gave me an open door to a lot of different experiences like student council, the STEM program, Girls on the Run, Girl Scouts, different fun field trips, dancing, sewing, and cooking class. One of my favorite experiences was going to other schools to compete in different sports and meet new people. All of these experiences helped me be a good communicator, inquirer, risk taker, and to be open-minded, caring, reflective, balanced, and principled. That's something I'll take with me after I graduate from GIS to succeed further down in my life.
Thank you for your comment, Anya. And our final comment is from Chris Shields. Chris, when you are ready.
Hi guys, I have a question. Tried to ask it earlier regarding the COVID situation. I work in the cafeteria at Northridge Elementary with wonderful staff and everything. But my question to the district is are we going to end the school year like we ended last year's COVID thing because of how it's getting worse? Because my boss told me today, Bernie Elias, that she thinks, but she's not positive, that the district might close like they did last year. So that's what my question is. I'd like to know so I can make some plans on what to do if that occurs.
So Chris, a member of staff will reach out to you, help you with an answer to that after tonight's meeting.
Yeah, because that's why I thought I'd just ask the board to see if you guys knew anything about it, because it is getting worse. So that was my question to y'all, to see if you guys knew
anything for the comment, Chris.
About it.
And that was our final comment, President Villescaz.
Paula, you are on mute.
That was bound to happen. I had a pretty good track record. I just want to say that for the record. Okay, that concludes the public hearing for Gateway International Charter School Renewal Petition, do any board members have any questions or comments at this time? We'll go in order and I'll begin with Mr. Hernandez.
No questions, just very impressed by Anya's presentation and her comments, and thank you. It's great to hear student voice talk about their school. That's it.
Ms. Costa.
Thanks, no questions.
Ms. Creason.
No questions. And again, I echo Mr. Hernandez's comments. Thank you, Anya, for joining us tonight.
Dr. McKibben.
Yeah, I do have one clarification kind of question, and that is in the material that was provided, it's talked about 9 different schools, and in some cases they're talking about Gateway International Schools, and some cases International School. I'd like to know, is our agreement for 9 different schools, or for the programs that were described here, and the data that were there, are the data that were provided for over all 9 schools, or just one particular kind of school?
Yes, thank you, Dr. McKibben. I'll answer that. So Gateway Community Charters, we oversee 9 various charters. There's only one charter with San Juan Unified School District, which would be Gateway International School. And that's the school that is before you for your consideration.
Okay.
Okay, seeing no,
thank you.
Seeing no further questions or comments, the action is scheduled for this item for February 23rd. Thank you all for joining us this evening. With that, we are now at item I4, conveyance of easement at Howe Avenue Elementary School. Mr. Camarda, please begin when you're ready.
Thank you and good evening, President Viasquez, members of the board, Superintendent Kern, and Ms. Cunningham. Tonight's facilities item is an action item. It is the public hearing and the conveyance of an easement at Howe Elementary School. The superintendent is recommending that the board call a public hearing in order to solicit public comment and adopt a resolution number 3017, declaring the conveyance of a permanent easement at Howe Avenue Elementary School to the County of Sacramento.
Thank you, Mr. Camarda. I declare the topic of conveying a permanent easement at Howe Avenue Elementary School to the County of Sacramento a public hearing, and it is now open for public comment. Mr. Allen, are there any public comments on our business item I4?
We have not had any comments submitted, nor do we have any hands raised at this time.
Okay, there being no comments, I declare the public hearing closed. Do any board members have any questions or comments at this time? We'll begin with Mr. Hernandez.
Just a quick comment that this item was presented to our facility committee, and they thoroughly took this assignment, and it was discussed pretty heavily, and the committee did an outstanding job wanting to know to make sure to protect the interest of the district in this, and they did vote 100% to support this as well, for what it's worth.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez, for that update in addition. Ms. Costa. Ms. Creason.
Mr. Hernandez predicted my question, so I'm good. Thank you.
Dr. McKibben.
No questions.
Okay. This is an action item. Is there a motion to adopt resolution number 3017, conveying a permanent easement at Howe Avenue Elementary School to the County of Sacramento?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Costa and seconded by Mr. Hernandez. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. 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 Thank you, Mr. Camarda. With that, thanks for joining us. Sorry to cut you off a little bit soon. Appreciate your work. We are now at item I5, side letters of agreement with SJTA, CSEA, SJPEC Teamsters and supervisors related to a one-time off-schedule payment. Mr. Shoemake, please begin when you are ready.
Good evening, President Vasquez, board members, Superintendent Kern, Ms. Cunningham. I'm here tonight to present the side letters of agreement with the San Juan Teachers Association, the San Juan Professional Educators Coalition, the San Juan Supervisors Association, the California School Employees Association, and the Teamsters for a one-time off-schedule payment. These payments were negotiated with each labor group and are supported by the superintendent and his cabinet. Additionally, I'm presenting the proposed 2021-2022 school year calendar, which was developed collaboratively with the San Juan Teachers Association per their contract. And if it's okay with the board, I would like to take a few moments to address some of the correspondence the board has received about the additional $500 stipend for teachers. As you know, I've personally responded to every single email the board or superintendent has received. And I'm working with any and all non-SJTA employees that incurred instructional or clerical related material expenses to explore reimbursement. For members listening tonight, if you need instructional or clerical related materials to do your job, you should be getting those from your work site. If you feel you had instructional or clerical related materials expenses as a result of the pandemic and the district's response, please work directly with your school principal or supervisor to discuss options for reimbursement. And as you know, in mid-March 2020, San Juan Unified School District began to grapple with the unknown impact of this worldwide event. It was the onset of a pandemic, and it required drastic and urgent changes to all aspects of life, including the way we educate children. This quickly affected students, families, communities, business partners, and of course, our employees. The district acknowledges and appreciates the collective and individual contributions of all of our employees during these unparalleled times. And in response, the district has offered a one-time off-schedule payment to all regular employees equal to 1% of normal contract earnings. While all educational employees have been labeled as essential, some were required to work on-site, others were allowed to work from home, and others did not work at all. Every employee has continued to be paid regardless of job-related circumstances. When the state protected 3 specific classified employee groups from the effects of layoffs, namely custodians, bus drivers, and food service workers, San Juan chose to preserve all positions. No employee has been laid off as a consequence of this pandemic. And I'm really pleased that the board took that and the superintendent took that position. 2 groups of employees seem to have been more impacted by the rest and have been or will be additionally compensated accordingly. This is beyond the 1% payment for all employees described earlier. First, our frontline workers who could not work from home, providing essential services described above. Those providing those important services who could not perform their jobs from home were paid 50% above their normal wages while working on site during the early months of the pandemic. While their job functions remained fairly consistent, our district acknowledged their added burdens and potential risk of working closely with the public. Many other districts throughout the state did not offer any pay adjustments for these services. Second, our teachers were asked to quickly and effectively alter their instructional practices. Perhaps no other group of employee has had their routines changed so drastically. This required most teachers to spend financial resources beyond their traditional contributions. While these adjustments began in the spring, the district is just now acknowledging the important contributions of that second group. Their additional compensation will be allocated in a unique manner, different from that of the first group described above. Again, the district, I want to be really clear, the district appreciates and respects the various contributions of all of our employees, from those who have bravely and reliably served our students and public in person during the early months to those who waited patiently at home to be called to return to work. Each one has played an important role in fulfilling our mission to serve students and families of San Juan. Thank you for indulging me. And this time I'm happy to answer any questions if needed.
Thank you, Mr. Shoemake. And before we jump to questions, we're going to jump to public comment first, consistent with the other items that have been presented tonight. Mr. Allen, do we have any public comments on this item at this time?
We've had no comments submitted in writing after 6 p.m. for this item, and we do have 2 hands raised at this time. So we will start with our first comment, which is from Amber B.
Hi, can you all hear me?
We can.
Thank you. I don't know actually if this is allowed. I work with Mutual Assistance Network, and I'm hearing a lot of concern about the expense, which is a very valid concern of staff. I wanted to just plug Mutual Assistance Network offers a Cali IT program, knowing that taxes are coming up. You can claim having to work from home the space that you used as a tax write-off. And I would be happy to connect with anyone offline with how to connect you to that program that we offer. We also have a program through the Financial Empowerment Center that could also support individuals who are impacted right now from COVID and all of these expenses that we have had to accrue. I know it's been really challenging for myself, distance learning, having a fourth grader. And so I definitely feel everyone's pain. And again, sorry if that's not allowed. I did it anyway. Plug that real quick for Mutual Assistance Network. Thank you.
Thank you for that comment, Amber. Our next comment will be from Kim Sell. When you're ready, Kim.
I would love to know how to get in touch with Amber. She just said to reach her. That would be very helpful. Also, somebody said that the aides could get paid back for what they have in expenses. Like I said, I had to buy my own headphones, my own whiteboard and stuff like that. I went to the principal of the school and asked, and she told us, no, that was just for the teachers. We had to pay for it out of our own pocket. That's all on this subject.
Our next comment is from Miss Alicia Nichols.
The Chromebooks that our IAs were provided were completely incapable of allowing us to be able to do the new job that we suddenly had to do. If we were able to even have just been given the same like HP or laptop or MacBook that our fellow teachers get, we would have been able to just do the job that we need to suddenly do, because we are practically co-teaching and stream moderating at the same time now, which is not only a lot different than what we used to be doing, but it's a completely different ballgame and it takes a lot more time and effort. And that's all I'm going to say on that.
Thank you, Ms. Nichols. And President Villescaz, we have no further hands raised. Ms. Sell, as you've already spoken on this item and previously, you have used your time for this item. Thank you. President Villescaz, that is our final comment, as we have no hands raised at this time.
Okay, with that, I'm going to turn it to my colleagues for questions and discussion. We will begin with Mr. Hernandez.
First of all, Mr. Shumay, I appreciate you starting out your comments the way you did. I think you clarified very clearly to some of our labor groups who may or may not have understood. And so I appreciate you clarifying that. And for the record, and it sounds like to many of our IAs who have sent us emails and comments tonight, and you said that if they have had expenses in reference to material items, that they can get reimbursed if they have their receipts, and if they don't, they are able to provide an affidavit. And am I correct? Is that right?
Yes, and if they have any issues, it sounds like Ms. Sell, there's a misunderstanding from the principal and Ms. Sell. Ms. Sell, I will reach out to you. I have your email as you sent me one earlier today. I'll reach out to you tomorrow to work on rectifying that situation.
And let me just finish with this. I'm not sure why some people weren't aware of this, but I do know, Mr. Shumay, as we saw your responses to some of those people that were inquiring, that it was pretty much general knowledge that if they did that they would be reimbursed. So I'm glad that we cleared that up tonight, and thank you. That's all I got.
Sure. And Mr. Hernandez, after hearing some of the comments tonight, clearly there needs to be some improved communication from our site leaders to our instructional assistants. So I'll be working on that first thing tomorrow. to make sure that our site leaders are personally reaching out to our instructional support staff to determine whether they had any instructional materials that the school typically would provide for instruction that they could be reimbursed for.
And Jim, I think what we could do as well is craft a message centrally, working with Trent and his team, so that it is very clear and that we're not, pardon me, not leaving up to any confusion. Our site administrators, everybody has enough on their plates right now. So if we could work on that and try and get that communication out to sites and employees who would have been in those categories within the next week or so, we can work on that as well.
Sure.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah.
Ms. Costa.
I'm really grateful that this has been clarified tonight. I think that it will make a big difference to employees who use their own funds to serve our children. So thank you very much for the clarification. I really appreciated what you said in the beginning of your remarks, Mr. Shoemake. I don't think there is an employee in this district who hasn't given everything that they have to make this a success for our children. And I think that we are really blessed to have the employees that we have and to know that they are working so hard on behalf of our students. I think that our families have really tried to support their children as well. So as we go through this horrific period of time in history in San Juan, I really just want to say thank you to each employee. And 1% is not enough, but it is what we have right now. And so I'm glad that we can at least say in that respect, thank you for what you have done during this pandemic. So thanks.
Ms. Creason.
Thanks. Just a couple of things, and some of it is echoing. I'm really glad that there's going to be that clarification going out. It just sounds like people just don't know what their options are. So I think that would be really, really helpful. Earlier, I heard a comment about concern going to school sites for supplies. And I'm assuming that there's going to be, if there probably is already, and if not, I hope there can be, safety measures put in place. We have kids that go to school sites to pick up food. I know we do that safely, so that there's just a quick in and out, people aren't hanging out. I'm sure that's already in place, but if not, I hope we could go there. And I can see, I can understand why people could possibly be concerned about that. So maybe even, school sites letting staff know, this is the process that we're taking to keep you safe. And this is what you need to do to come get your supplies might be helpful. Regarding, I just want to acknowledge, in my day job, I work in workforce development, especially for communities that have been left behind in economic development, which is a huge issue throughout the nation and in our state. So I recognize and I hear, there's some groups of employees that have been frontline workers or more exposed to the virus for a variety of reasons. And I want to acknowledge that. And, pay is huge in all school districts, not just here. And I think President Villescaz, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe California is like 48th in our nation for per student spending. And I just note that to say, I agree, people deserve more, everybody, for what you're doing across the board. And that's something that I would love to advocate with all of you on. That's something that's beyond this individual school district's control, how we're funded. But I think that, I just want to raise that. I'm not sure how many people know that. Again, it's like 48. I believe it's 48. It's definitely not that much higher if it changed recently in our nation. And we're California. And the more resources we get, the better we can do for our staff. So that's something I would love to talk about and advocate with you alongside you, side by side. Because change needs to happen, but we can't do it by ourselves. I think this was addressed in earlier, but I just want to make sure I heard it correctly. So I did hear too that there was a staff person that was told no. So I'm hoping that in the communications that go out, maybe we could also share, well, what do you do if you have trouble? Like, can they connect with you directly, Jim? I know I'm speaking out of term. I don't know what the process should be, but what to do if there's questions that they can't get answered. I think that could be helpful as well. And And I think that's all I have. And this is hard stuff. Pandemics are hard. And I just appreciate everyone that we have on this team to take care of our kids the best that we can, because it really does take the whole village to make it happen. Thank you.
Dr. McKibben. Dr. McKibben, you're on mute.
Has to be at least once. Mr. Shoemate, thank you for all the work that you're doing, connecting one by one with these people to make sure that they get what they need. Indeed, that we know that indeed our teachers and aides and that sort of thing do take money out of their own pockets, whether there's a pandemic or whether there isn't, and we appreciate that. But what we're talking about here is, I was confused during the district organizations piece. We have signed contracts, I believe, from all of the people, all of them. But it sounded like when the president of the district organization representing classified was saying that they did indeed sign, but they're going to continue to work on this. Is this done through a side letter, or that confused me a good deal? Where are we on that contract is, I guess, my question.
Sure, I'd love to clarify that. And I'm not exactly sure where the confusion came from related to this, because it's pretty spelled out in our language. I also heard an employee, several of the employees that have written to the board have indicated that they were told there would be no money, and then all of a sudden there was. And that's actually spelled out in our contract. So in November, well, during our bargaining, we, as a district, informed all of our labor groups that we were not in a position to bargain any ongoing raises until we better understood the impact of COVID and on the governor's budget. So every labor group had an interest in getting a raise. There wasn't one that didn't, but we told all of them we didn't feel like we could commit to a raise with a very unknown budget approach. And of course, this was back in November. We know a lot more now. At that point, every single labor group agreed, including CSEA. And we signed with CSEA on November 5th. They agreed that there would be no ongoing raise. We wrote right into the contract with CSEA, the parties agree to return to 2021 negotiations no later than March 17th to negotiate a salary and or district benefit contribution, if any. That was a reference to the fact that the financial picture was very unclear at the time. And we both acknowledged that. We both signed that document, and we both agreed that once we heard from the governor's budget, there's a reason we said March 17th. It was to give us time to process the governor's budget and come back. So I'm not sure why anyone is indicating that they were told there was no money and we would not come back. We said there's no money for an ongoing raise. Subsequently, we had finalized bargaining with everyone except for CSEA, except for SJTA at that time. And SJTA came back with a proposal to use federal monies for a one-time off-schedule payment. And at that point, we felt like we were in a position, because the federal government had given us one-time monies and that it complied with what we were going to be giving with the one-time bonus or one-time payment. We agreed that that was an appropriate use, and we signed that agreement with the Teacher Association on November 14th. And on November 14th, I called all 7 labor leaders to let them know the great news that we were not able to come up with an ongoing payment like we had agreed, but we were, because of federal funds, able to offer a one-time payment. And as of today, to your point, I'm sorry.
I believe that was December 14th, not November.
I'm sorry. What did I say? November 14th? Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that. And then, so as of today, every labor group at that point signed within about 4 or 5 days for the 1% off schedule payment. I hope that clarifies that question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. McKibben, and thank you, Mr. Shoemake, for the presentation and for the tremendous amount of work that's gone into this, and also your extensive efforts to work to clarify timelines and what might have happened. I think one thing is clear: we all, as both a governance team, as the board, but also as the superintendent and cabinet team, we value all of our employees. And there's no doubt that this has been difficult. And I actually really appreciated the public comment about assistance pieces that are coming through the community every day to help serve, because we live in a community and there are people every day stepping up to serve in this community. And I think I have been very thankful that we, as a large employer in the made and stood by our commitment to not lay off any of our employees. I couldn't conscionably, I know we couldn't conscionably do it during a pandemic, have people without a job, and there's a number of places where that's the case. Now, is there more work to do? Always, absolutely, 100%. And I appreciate some of the clarification pieces that you've made. And I want to go in a little bit more on this distinction of ongoing commitments versus one time, because that is both a piece to just really is important to clarify, but also isn't a surprise. Like, we've made that commitment and have stated it time and time again as a governing team that we will not make ongoing commitments with one-time dollars, and this is in keeping with that commitment and stays true to that. So this refrain that somehow folks were told that all money was off the table, I find that I find that a challenge. I don't anticipate that would be communicated, because that's not what any of us have communicated. So appreciate the communication on that piece. I also just want to reflect, like, yes, there might be some communication challenges in this sort of pivot that we're doing to make sure that folks who have incurred expenses are appropriately compensated. And I really appreciate the team being open to that and switching gears quickly to accommodate that. And I know that we have directly asked for information related to these expenses from our union partners, and I'm glad that we're going to kind of remove that bottleneck and just make it clear to everybody, because it seems like there's some inconsistent communication happening. So we're going to take the opportunity to clarify that, and I appreciate your commitment to that this evening as well. So all in all, I think a lot of progress has been made. As always, there's a little bit of room for improvement, but on the whole, we all share the commitment and have throughout this incredibly difficult time, prior our existing response as well, of doing right by our employees, and we will all continue that commitment, and I don't have any doubt of that. So I wanted to just at this point see if anybody has anything else to add, because if not, we will dispense with this item. Ms. Creason.
That background, just I'm sorry, I didn't make note of this, and I meant to. Just wanted to point out Mutual Assistance has been a partner to SJUSD for a long time, and I just had them up to share. You can Google them and they come out. It's mutualassistancenetwork.org is their website, and if you just put them in Google, they come up very quickly. Mutual Assistance Network, and they're locally based in Arden Arcade. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you for raising that, and I think maybe we can also put perhaps into the resource hub or other items. I think come the spring, there's often a lot of resources that come, again, with especially around supporting obligations related to filing taxes, etc. And so maybe that's something I hope that's something staff can take back in terms of building in as a resource, and do appreciate lifting that up. At this moment in time, I see no other questions or comments. So tonight, this was a discussion item, and action is scheduled for January 26th. So with that, we are at item I6, one-time off-schedule payment for SJA Cabinet Confidential. Mr. Shoemake, please begin.
Great. I'm also here tonight to present the one-time off-schedule payment for the San Juan Administrators Association, Cabinet, the Confidential Group, and our unrepresented group. These payments too are supported by the superintendent and his cabinet. And at this time, I'm happy to answer any questions if needed.
Thank you, Mr. Shoemake. Mr. Allen, do we have any public comments at this time?
We've not received any comments for this item. I do have one hand that just went up. So I will remind folks that we do have 2 minutes for comments, which should be on this item. However, the hand just went down. So we do not have any comments on this item, President Villesquez.
And yes, I'll offer just another quick reminder to our visitors who are still with us. We do have another section for visitor comment. It is business item L, and we will likely be there shortly. Seeing no public comments at this time, do any board members have questions or comments on this business item?
No comment.
I'm seeing universal. No, Ms. Creason, just want to double check with you. Doesn't look like it. Okay, all right.
Okay, kind of, sort of.
Oh,
I mean, and I don't want to. I'm sorry. Okay, so just a
don't
question.
Apologize. Go for it.
I'm just, I want to make sure all of our staff is taken care of. And we heard a lot tonight from one group. This is another group that has a different situation than SJTA. We haven't heard from any of them. They seem to be cool and rolling with it. I shouldn't say cool, but they seem to be taking care of it. I just want to make sure that they're aware of. I mean, I know these are the administrators, so they probably know, but they know the benefits that they can get if they need additional support. And that's it.
Jim is nodding his head yes. So
Yeah, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I just assumed she was looking right at me. Sorry.
A lot of boxes. It's hard to find. I don't know who I'm looking at.
I should have realized that. Yes, my apologies.
No, I appreciate it. And I'm sorry. I don't mean to, I hope you understand why I'm raising it. It's just, we haven't heard from any other group, and there's a lot of, everyone else is in the same boat, right? So I just want to point that out and make sure everyone is aware. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no further questions or comments, this was a discussion item and action is scheduled for January 26th. We are now at item I7, Williams Complaint Reports. Ms. Simlick, please begin when you are ready.
Thank you and good evening, President Velasquez, board members, Superintendent Kern, and Ms. Cunningham. As you're well aware, Education Code Section 35186 requires that district staff report to the Board of Education at a regularly scheduled board meeting concerning any Williams type complaints that have been filed with the district and the resolution of those complaints. I am pleased to report for the quarter October through December 2020, there were no Williams complaints filed with the district.
Thank you, Ms. Simlick. Mr. Allen, do we have any public comments on this item at this time? Sorry to curtail your presentation there a little bit, Ms. Simlick, that was unintentional. Mr. Allen, are there any public comments on this item?
No, President Villesquez, we've not received any comments, nor do we have any hands raised at this time.
Do any board members have any questions or comments? Mr. Hernandez? Ms. Costa? Ms. Creason? Dr. McKibben? Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Simlick, for the report.
Thank you.
We are at item J, board reports. Are there any board reports at this time? Mr. Hernandez.
No reports.
Ms. Costa.
I don't have a report, but I have a request to pass on from Pamela Pinsky from the San Juan Education Foundation. They are looking for a board member to attend their board meetings. They are once a month, the first Thursday evening of each month by Zoom from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. And she suggested that maybe board members could rotate so that a board member attended once a month and then another board member, et cetera. So I don't know if we need to agendize this or just have an informal conversation and see if somebody would like to attend on behalf of the board on a regular basis, or at least attend for one meeting. So I will pass that on. I have passed that on to my fellow board members.
Thank you, Ms. Costa. And I'll just add to that point. At some point, I was the regular kind of board member that was attending those meetings. And I just wanted to take this opportunity to acknowledge the hard and tremendous work that the foundation does. I'd certainly be interested in a rotation. I don't think it's something I could commit to doing on a regular basis. So if it's not a Brown Act violation in any way, maybe we can coordinate what that response might look like.
And I'm willing to also participate in a rotation. And I did also serve as the regular board representative when I was first on the board. So I think that I am very proud of the work that they've done on behalf of our students as well. And I think perhaps the rotation is a better way to go because it would allow all board members to be in the loop hearing what's being done on behalf of our kids. But I am willing to take a turn in the rotation as well. So thank you for letting me bring that forward, and perhaps Mr. Kern could pull that together for us.
Yeah, I was going to say, board members, President Vasquez, what I can do is work with Ms. Cunningham to get the dates that they have and times. You know, we've encouraged them when they were in person, where they actually hold their meetings aren't necessarily convenient for people because they're one side of the district, about as far away as you can get. And I've talked to them about finding a place that may be a little bit more convenient that really works for board members as we have folks at work, or in the case of Dr. McKibben, that could be probably a 40-minute to an hour commute in the morning. So we'll work on that and get that information out, and then maybe we can have you guys sign up. So I'll work with Stephanie on that.
Thank you so much.
Mrs. Creason.
I want to use my board report time to, what's the word? Take a moment to honor Norval Pyle, who is a leader in CSEA who has passed. I was so happy to have the opportunity to get to know Norma a bit when I was running for this position. I mean, one of the warmest people I've ever met in my life, and funny. I mean, that is one funny lady. And I really felt like I connected with her right away. I didn't know a lot of people, you know, and she really just kind of took me under her wing and really was there and to answer any dumb question that I had, and just really had this kind of mama bear spirit about her that I really connected to. So I just want to take a moment and remember her. It was really tragic news, and we're going to sorely miss her.
Thank you, Ms. Creason. Dr. McKibben.
No report.
Okay, seeing no further board reports, we are at item K, future agenda items. Do any board members wish to add any items to the future agenda? Okay, seeing none, we are at visitor comments. Item L, Mr. Allen, are there any visitor comments?
We do have 2 hands raised for visitor comment at this time, and I do have 2 written comments that have been submitted. We will start with our commenters who are with us here on the Zoom call tonight. Again, reminding you for the 2-minute time limit, we will start with Miss Alicia Nichols.
Please don't let the clarifications on reimbursements negate the fact that we deserve a stipend just like teachers and a cost of living increase. There also needs to be more communication between the district, our union, our admins, and instructional assistants, and frankly, all classified members. The fact that I still haven't been notified of my hours for this school year, the fact that no one could answer safety questions or hazard pay for classified employees, and the fact that I could apply for welfare while educating the future of our country is just depressing. Please think about our struggles with affording to live, especially during a pandemic. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Ms. Nichols. And our next comment is from Anna Quinones.
Buenas noches de nuevo. Good evening once again. I really appreciate that you all stayed on so late and you are so dedicated to this work. I just wanted to leave a comment about the Equity Department's report earlier this evening. I tried to reach the button. I just couldn't reach it in time before it was closed. Thank you to the Equity Department. I'm super grateful as an educator in this district. It is a massive district, and with all of the professional learning opportunities, I've certainly found a home and very close friends. Professional relationships have been formed from opportunities that have grown from the Equity Department. It is excellent work. It is excellent to be meeting other educators who understand and see education as such a critical and important profession. And they just want to improve their practice and continue serving students and figuring out how to best serve students. and making education really accessible to all students. And opportunities for leadership have grown from there, and we are a leader in our region because of our equity department. So that's all I want to say, and thank you so much, and I hope you have a good evening.
Thank you for that, Ms. Quinones. Our next comment will be from Kim Sell.
I wanted to say Dale shared the, I guess it's called the diversity training with us. I want to say it was fantastic. It gave us some of the right language to use, and it told us it was okay to talk about it. I thought that was fantastic. I think all aides should have it. I wanted to say, are we going to have any opportunities for any training where we get paid like we used to get paid for going to Lori Bynes' talks or the talks about violence, things like that? We're missing those. I'm also wondering where you talk about the 50% above wages. The staff that is on campus right now at Laurel Ruff working with students who are violent and refuse to wear masks. We've had a lot of COVID right there at that school. Do we get the 50% right now? Talk about the history of intolerance, the museum. Do IAs get a chance to go to that? And it's sad, but you can get paid more to work at McDonald's. We do this because we love it, but we need to make a living. Thank you.
And thank you for your comment. That is the final comment from those who have joined us here on the Zoom call tonight. We do have 2 comments that were submitted for public comment. President Vasquez, at this hour, would you like me to read those, or would you like me to send those to the board via email?
And just to clarify, those were submitted prior to or after 6 p.m.
Those were submitted after 6 p.m.
Will you please read them, Mr. Allen?
I'd be happy to. Our first is from Mary Stokvides, who writes, I want to thank Ms. Quinones for her concerns around open enrollment, particularly without transportation support for students in high poverty neighborhoods. I would like to see both my students and my family members who attend school in the district to have equitable, desirable schools, no matter their income, access, and ability to travel. I also know the enormous value of our classified staff, and I hope they receive due consideration when it comes to equitable living wage and benefits. We have a staffing shortage, and pay truly makes a difference in keeping dedicated staff in our district. Thanks for considering these issues. Our final comment for the night then comes from Thong Cha, who writes, please reject the proposal to use the Bridges After School program as a temporary daycare for the children of San Juan staff or for students that are not part of the regular Bridges program for each site. We have worked hard to create a program specific to our own students and parents. Students and parents outside of Bridges will not understand how we operate, and I fear many problems will arise, such as behavioral problems and a lack of appropriate activities. We would also be abandoning our current students in their time of need. It is wrong and illogical to abandon my current 60 students to support 15 or so non-Bridges students. And that is our final comment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Allen. And we do not need to return to closed session. Prior to adjournment, I do have one more comment. I'm going to ask that my colleagues that we adjourn this meeting in memory of Norma Pyle and Tom Lath, who we've both lost. We are holding their families and our school communities impacted by these 2 individuals in our hearts and in our thoughts. So with that, thank you very much, and we will see you in 2 weeks. We are adjourned.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.
The next regularly scheduled meeting of the San Juan Unified Board of Education is set for Tuesday, January 26th. Public session should open at approximately 6:30 p.m. We do anticipate being on Zoom and YouTube as our normal practice has been for the last several months, and we hope to see you there. Thank you.